You know the scene. We've all been there, right? You're in the middle of a heated argument. Things are getting loud, and then suddenly the other person just stops. They turn around and walk away. And in that moment, it feels like you've won. But what if I told you that feeling is completely wrong?
So let's just ask it straight up. When someone walks out of an argument, who's the real winner? I mean, our ego, our first instinct, screams, "I did," right? We got the last word, we were so compelling, so obviously right that they just couldn't handle it. But that's a huge assumption.
Okay, so let's really dig into this because this idea completely flips the script on how we see conflict. The person who stayed behind, yelling, they aren't the winner. Not even close. In fact, psychology suggests that the person who walked away just showed a kind of control you should probably pay very, very close attention to.
And here is the big mental shift you have to make. That act of walking away, it's not surrender, it's a strategy. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of some serious, almost scary self-mastery. They aren't running from the fight, they're showing a type of power that shouting can never, ever touch.
So what is actually going on here? What's the science behind this silent power move? Well, we're going to unpack the 5 key psychological secrets that explain exactly why the person who walks away is actually the one holding all the cards.
Let's start here. In any argument, our brain has two options, two paths it can take. The first one is the default setting, the easy path, just an automatic emotional reaction. That's the yelling, the name-calling. But the second path, that's much harder. It's a deliberate, conscious, chosen response. And that choice is where all the power comes from.
And that brings us to our first secret. Psychologists have a term for this: cognitive inhibition. Now, this isn't just about biting your tongue. It's this incredibly rare skill of hitting the pause button between feeling an emotion and acting on it. They didn't leave because they ran out of things to say. They left to protect you from what they could have said. Think about that. In a weird way, it's an act of mercy.
Okay, secret number 2 is a concept called an internal locus of control. Put simply, it just means their sense of self-worth is generated from the inside. It doesn't rely on getting validation from the outside world. They don't need you to agree with them, and they sure don't need to win a screaming match to feel secure about what they know to be true.
And this just nails the difference perfectly, doesn't it? Yelling is often just a desperate attempt to prove you exist, to force your version of reality onto somebody else. But the person who can just walk away and silence, they don't need you to validate their reality. They already know exactly who they are.
Now, this third secret is absolutely fascinating. Our brains can get addicted to drama. When an argument starts, your brain actually anticipates a little hit of dopamine, a drama high. By just walking away, that person is literally cutting off your brain's drug supply. They're refusing to play the role of your dealer. It is the ultimate power move. Our fourth secret is all about the 2 different operating systems in our brains. Think of it this way. You've got System 1. It's fast, it's emotional, it's reactive. That's the part of your brain that's doing the screaming. And then you have System 2. It's slow, analytical, and totally logical.
So the person who walks away is showing what's called System 2 dominance. See, they aren't escaping the argument. They're moving it to a whole new battlefield. They're taking the fight out of the loud, messy arena of System 1 and moving it to the quiet, logical arena of System 2, where, by the way, they have a massive home field advantage. When they come back, it won't be with emotion. It'll be with cold, hard facts.
And this leads us right into our 5th and final secret, high emotional regulation. On one end of the spectrum, you've got low regulation. That's the big external explosion. On the other end, you have high regulation, that calm internal control. And that ability, the ability to process your emotions on the inside instead of just letting them explode, is consistently linked with higher intelligence and incredible personal strength. So let's be really clear about this. True strength isn't about having the loudest voice. Real power is about being the most in control. As the saying goes, weakness is when you can't control your anger. The person who walks away, they're the strongest one in the room because they are the only one in full command of their own nervous system.
So what happens when we pull all 5 of these secrets together? What does this all add up to? Well, it creates a whole new reality. When someone walks away from you, we now know it is not a white flag of surrender. It is the quiet, firm, and unbreakable drawing of a boundary.
And this right here is the single most important thing to take away from all of this. Their silence is so much more powerful than your shouting could ever hope to be. It's not the absence of a response, it is the response. It's a clear, powerful statement that says,
The rules of engagement you're offering? Nope. They are unacceptable to me.
So what are they really saying with that silence? Let's spell it out. They're saying, I've outgrown this fight. They're saying, I refuse to be your source for a drama fix. They are demonstrating absolute control over their own mind and body. And maybe most importantly, they are actively choosing their own peace over pointless, draining drama.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're in an argument and that other person just turns and walks away, don't automatically chalk it up as a win. Instead, just pause for a second and ask yourself this question. Who is really in control of this room? The person who's losing their cool or the one who had the strength to leave?